Hello, boys and girls. I have another flannel story for you, and it's going to be a fun one. Some of you already know this one. It's called The Giant. Let's find out what happens. The enemies of God's people came out to fight. They sent their best fighter out first. His name was Goliath. He was over 7 feet tall. He called to the army of Saul, "Choose a man to come and fight me. If he wins, we will be your servants. But if I win, you will be our servants." The men in Saul's army were afraid. They knew Goliath was stronger than they were, and no one wanted to fight him. Now, David's brothers were in Saul's army, but David was at home taking care of do you know what animal? Sheep. That's right. He was taking care of the sheep. One day, David's father called to him and said, "Here, take this bread to your brothers in Saul's army." So, David went to go to his brothers, and he got to see the army. He also got to see who? Goliath. That's right. Let's put these guys back up here too. "I will fight Goliath," said David. But Saul, the king, said, "You are only a boy. How can you fight Goliath?" "God will help me," said David. So Saul gave David his armor, his helmet, and his sword, but they were too heavy for David. So David took them off. He gave them back to Saul. "I'm not used to these." Instead, David chose 5 smooth stones from the river. He took his sling in his hand. He put a rock in the sling. He called to Goliath, "You come with a sword and a spear. I come in the name of the Lord. The battle is the Lord's." I wonder what Goliath thought about that. The giant came closer to David, and David put the stone in his sling and swung it around. If I can do this. The stone hit Goliath in the forehead, and he was killed. David trusted God, and God helped him. All the people were glad. Now, what do we learn from this story about David? Was David afraid of Goliath? No. That's right, because he had a helper. Who was his helper? God was his helper. That's right, he was not afraid because God helped David. He knew that God was in control. Now, I have a Bible that my mom and dad gave me when I was a little girl. It's kind of fallen apart. It's called the Children's Living Bible. And if you open your Bible, like mine, to the very middle, you will find a book called Psalms. Now, David wrote most of these Psalms, and they're kind of like songs. Now, I was looking through this to find a psalm to read to you, and then I remembered there's pictures in this Bible. That's why I liked it so much. And I turned to this page, and I found this picture. And this is what David could have looked like when he was taking care of the sheep. And the psalm that is written here is called the 23rd Psalm. It's very, very popular. I'm going to read it for you. Because the Lord is my shepherd, I have everything I need. He lets me rest in the meadow grass and leads me beside the quiet streams. He restores my failing health. He helps me do what honors him the most. Even when walking through the dark valley of death, I will not be afraid, for you are close beside me, guarding, guiding all the way. You provide delicious food for me in the presence of my enemies. You have welcomed me as your guest. Blessings overflow. Your goodness and unfailing kindness shall be with me all of my life, and afterwards I will live with you forever in your home. Where is God's home? Heaven, that's right. David knew that if he stayed close to God, that if he trusted in God, if he was never afraid, because God was right there beside him, just like this psalm says, he knew that God would provide everything he needed. And God will provide everything you need as well. Stay close by his side, trust in your Lord, listen to your mommies and daddies. They will guide you and help you. And when you get old enough to read, please find a Bible that you can read and start reading the Psalms. They're beautiful. Some of those songs are just so joyful, and some of them will help you when you're sad too. The Bible is the best book in the world, and I'm so glad I have my Bible from when I was a little girl. Thanks for watching. I love you, friends. Goodbye.